Hey, welcome to my English channel. Today we have another exciting and interesting story for you. A true story of a father. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. Now listen carefully to the story and enjoy. I am an old man now. My hair is white, and my hands are weak. Every day, I sit by the window, watching the trees outside. The wind moves the leaves softly, and I think about my past. Memories come like waves. Some make me smile, and others make me cry. I had a wife named Sarah. She was kind and beautiful, with a warm smile that brightened every day. We had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. I worked hard to give them a good life, and Sarah took care of the house, cooked meals, and helped the children with their school work. Our home was filled with laughter and love. Years passed, and the children grew up. They went to school, made friends, and started spending less time with us. I understood they needed to explore the world, but it made me sad. Sarah always reassured me, saying, "They will come back. They love us." I believed her. One day, Sarah became sick. She stayed in bed for weeks. I took care of her, cooked for her, and sat by her side, telling her stories to make her laugh. But she was too weak. One night, she looked at me and said, "Take care of the children. They need you." Then she closed her eyes and never opened them again. My heart broke into pieces. After Sarah's death, the house became quiet and lonely. I hoped my children would stay with me, but they were busy with their own lives. They visited less and less. One day, they sat with me and said, "You cannot stay alone. It's better for you to live in a home for old people." I wanted to say no, but I saw no other choice. My heart hurt, but I nodded and went with them. Now I sit here alone. The days are long, and the nights are cold. I think of Sarah and the life we had together. I ask myself, did I fail as a father? Did I do something wrong? But there are no answers, only silence. This place is called the Golden Years Home. It is clean and quiet. There are other old people here, sitting in their chairs, lost in their thoughts. Some talk to me, but most of the time, I sit alone. The nurses are kind but busy. They bring me food, give me medicine, and sometimes smile at me. Every morning, I wake up early and sit by the window, watching the sun rise. The light paints the sky with colors, and for a moment, I feel peace. Then the day begins, and I feel the emptiness again. I think of my children. Where are they? Are they happy? Do they think of me? I remember the times I carried them on my shoulders, took them to the park, and helped them with their homework. My hands were tired, but my heart was full. They were my pride, my joy, my everything. But now they are far away. They call me sometimes. "How are you, Dad?" they ask. Before I can answer, they say, "We're busy. Take care." I understand life is hard, and they have their own families. But I wish they could visit more. One day, a nurse gave me a notebook. She said, "Write your memories." It will help you feel better. At first, I didn't know what to write. My hands shook as I held the pen, but then the words started to flow. I wrote about Sarah, her soft voice and laughter. I wrote about my children, their first steps, their first words, their bright smiles. The notebook became my friend. Every night, I wrote before going to sleep. It felt like I was talking to someone, sharing my pain and my love. I hoped my children would read it one day and understand how much I love them. But sometimes I wondered if they would ever read it. Maybe they are too busy to care. Maybe they will forget me, just like they forgot to visit. These thoughts made my heart heavy, but I kept writing. It was the only thing I could do. The days in the home were all the same. Breakfast at 8, lunch at 12, dinner at 6. Between meals, I sat by the window or in the garden. The garden was small but had flowers, roses, daisies, and tulips. Sometimes I watched the birds. They sang and flew freely. I wondered if they felt joy or loneliness like me. One afternoon, a young boy came to visit. He was the son of one of the nurses. He smiled at me and said, "Hi, Grandpa." His smile reminded me of my youngest son when he was little. The boy sat beside me and asked, "Do you have any stories?" I nodded and began to tell him about my childhood. I told him about the village where I grew up, the green fields, tall trees, and a clear river where we swam. I told him about my best friend, John, and how we climbed trees and played hide and seek. The boy's eyes grew wide with excitement. For a moment, I felt alive again, sharing my memories with someone who listened. After he left, I felt a mix of emotions. I was happy to talk to him, but it also reminded me of my family. I wondered if my grandchildren knew about me. Do they know how much I miss them? Do they know how much I want to hold them and tell them stories too? One evening, I asked the nurse if I could call my eldest son. She handed me the phone, and I dialed his number with shaking hands. He answered after a few rings. "Hello, Dad," he said, his voice distant. I told him I missed him and wanted to see him. He said, "I'll try to visit soon," but his words felt empty, like a promise he didn't mean to keep. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, thinking of Sarah. She would have known what to do. She always brought the family together, making the house warm and full of love. Without her, everything fell apart. I miss her more than words can say. I held the notebook close to my chest. "Sarah," I whispered, "if you can hear me, please tell our children to come. Tell them I'm still here, waiting for them." My voice cracked, and tears rolled down my cheeks. The pain in my heart was too heavy to bear, but I kept hoping. Maybe one day they will remember me. Days turned into weeks, and I waited by the window every afternoon. I hoped to see one of my children's cars arrive. Each time I heard the sound of a car engine, my heart jumped. But every time, it was someone else, a visitor for another resident or a delivery van. My hope grew smaller with each passing day, but it never fully disappeared. One day, I decided to write letters to my children. I found an old notebook and a pen in the drawer by my bed. My hands trembled as I began to write. The first letter was for my eldest son. I told him about my life here, about the quiet days and the memories that keep me company. I reminded him of the times I held his hand when he was little, teaching him how to walk and how to ride a bike. The second letter was for my daughter. I wrote about her smile and the way she used to sing while helping her mother in the kitchen. I told her how proud I was when she graduated from college. "You are my sunshine," I wrote, just as I used to call her when she was a child. The last letter was for my youngest son. I reminded him of our fishing trips and how he laughed when he caught his first fish. I told him that I missed his jokes and laughter, which used to fill the house with joy. When I finished writing, I carefully folded each letter and placed them in envelopes. I asked the nurse to mail them for me. She smiled kindly and said, "Of course, Mr. Carter. I'll send them right away." For the first time in weeks, I felt a small spark of hope. The next morning, I went to the garden. The air was fresh, and the flowers swayed gently in the breeze. I sat on a bench and closed my eyes, imagining my children reading the letters. I pictured their faces, touched by my words, deciding to come and visit me. But days passed, and there was no response. No phone calls, no letters, no visits. My heart ached, but I told myself to be patient. "They are busy," I thought. "Maybe the letters will remind them." That evening, as I sat by the window, the young boy who had visited me before came back. He brought a small drawing he had made, a picture of me sitting under a tree with a big smile. "This is for you," he said, handing me the paper. My eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice breaking. The boy's kindness warmed my heart. Even in the darkest moments, there was still light. If you are listening my story, please send my message and love to my children. Their father is still waiting to see them, touch them, and hug them. This story teaches us the importance of love, family, and connection. It reminds us to cherish the time we have with our loved ones, because life is fleeting. The old man's life shows us the sacrifices parents make for their children and how deeply they value their presence. The story urges us to remember and honor those who have cared for us, especially as they age. It also highlights the loneliness many elderly people face when they feel forgotten by their families. A small gesture, like a visit, a phone call, or even a letter, can bring immense joy and healing to someone who feels isolated. It also shows the healing power of sharing memories and kindness. The young boy's visits brought comfort and life back to the old man, proving that even small acts of compassion can make a big difference. Ultimately, this story is a call to action for all of us to value our relationships, stay connected with those we love, and never take them for granted. Love, after all, is what truly makes a life meaningful.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel.